Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, WWE Evolve various matches. In this one, of course, we have Anya Rune taking on Layla Diggs. We have, of course, Chazz, Starboy, Hall taking on CJ Valor as payback for what of course the Mog Squad did to him. And then of course the main event feature Cam Hendricks versus Tate Wilde. Of course, Tate Wilde has been looking for a measure of payback for what Cam Hendricks and of course Harley Riggins did to him during the aftermath of the PCID war. And of course, we'll see how things roll from there. And then after that, of course, we got AEW with a 3-hour event, of course, featuring both Dynamite and Collision. As you know, this coming Saturday is Double or Nothing. So we do see the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho taking on the combined forces of the Don Callis family and Ricochet. And of course, we have title matches, Eliminator matches, everything else. So we'll see what happens as we head to Double or Nothing. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. School is in session, so let's begin, of course, with WWE Evolve. WWE Evolve. It opened up, of course, with a video promo between both Cam Hendricks and Tate Wilde talking individually about each other. As you know, Tate Wilde has been dealing with Cam Hendricks and Harley Riggins, making his life a living hell because they blame him for the loss of that war between the PC guys and the ID guys recently, not too long ago. And of course, Cam Hendricks, he's determined to prove his point, why he is the much bigger star than him, but also knowing that you should have taken his side. But we'll see how things will go from there, since that's going to be our main event, I believe. Yep, it is. So anyway, we opened up with Anya Rune, who is one of the much recent prospects that we signed, taking on Layla Diggs. So basically, it was a very okay match, not, strong or anything, but it was okay. But of course, this was going to go into Layla Diggs, and she does have a bit of experience in Evolve, of course, and she was able to apply a moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, during the post-match, Gianna Capri once again decided to get in her face, like saying, see, this is why you're gonna lose, like trying to act like think she is far more better. But of course, Layla Diggs and Mason Holiday were not going to tolerate her trying to put her down because she thinks, oh, just one loss after another means that she's an embarrassment. But they're not going to take that kindly. And I think we should be grateful that they're helping out someone who is trying to make a name for themselves. Now, we did have an interesting announcement from the Evolve foreman himself, of course, Timothy Thatcher. Apparently, there's going to be more ID prospects to be announced, and of course, he'll be looking around and scouting in the indie scenes, either anywhere in the country or the world, perhaps. So he's not only just a foreman for Evolve, but he's also a scouter and, of course, a training coach to see how things are going to go. So can't wait how that's going to turn around. Now, our next match, we have Chazz Starboy Hall taking on CJ Valor, a member of the Mog Squad, of course, with Max Abram, what's his name, Santi Rivera, and of course, Jacobary Ball. So basically, CJ Valor told, of course, the guys in the Mog Squad to let him handle this. And of course, it was a pretty good match. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Starboy did everything humanly possible to try to take him down. He knows that he's not dealing with someone that will be easy to take down. I mean, Valor does have a lot of muscle and, of course, strength into this. But somehow, Starboy was able to survive it, and it took him a bit of time until he applied the shooting star press. 1, 2, 3. Adios. It was over. Now, Lady Luck and Wendy Choo, as you know, they're still a little bit of upset over what happened. As you know, not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, they had a match for a shot of the Evolve Women's Championship. But the match was spoiled thanks to, of course, Nikita Lyons and Sloane Jacobs, who kind of ruined that for everyone. But, of course, they are looking for a measure of payback to get even for what they cost, taking away a good match. So, Wendy Choo made the decision that there's going to be a match between, of course, her and Lady Luck taking on Nikita Lyons and, of course, Sloane Jacobs. Now, we did see a contract signing for the Evolve Championship. As you know, Tristan Angels, one of the newest prospects, all the way from the UK, is the winner for the #1 contendership. However, of course, Aaron Rourke was there. But Tristan, of course, made it perfectly abundant clear. This is not just about winning the title, but also in his perspective, seeing that a guy like Aaron Rourke is an embarrassment because it's all about rainbows and glitter and sparkles. But however, for Aaron Rourke, he knows that that he has all this, but he's not ashamed to show it. So he's going to take matters in his own hands to show him why he is the Evolve Men's Champion. However, of course, Harlem Lewis showed up. Now, this, as you know, many people thought that he probably wants another shot of the Evolve Championship. However, that wasn't the case. Harlem said he was giving out an announcement of his own. He's spoken to Foreman Thatcher that next week there's going to be a match between him and Braxton Cole. So that's going to be a very impressive. However, of course, Chuy Martinez, who was during there at the contract signing, ran into a guy named Elijah Holyfield, who originally is part of the LFG group. Seems that he was there, but he said that he's there on his own accord and checking out the scene. So we'll see how things go from there. Now, in response to Wendy Choo and Lane Luck for the upcoming tag team match, well, Sloane Jacobs and Nikita Lyons, let's just say that they are happy that they ruined their moment because that's pretty much what they wanted. But of course, Nikita Lyons is crying a river knowing too well that she did not become the Women's Evolve Championship, but they can't wait to, of course, they believe that if Nikita Lyons won this match, it could put her in the position to be in the title consistency for the Evolve Women's title. So we'll see how things progress from there. Now, our main event, Cam Hendricks versus Tate Wilde. Now, we know these guys have dealt with each other time and time again. Tate Wilde has been looking anxious to get his hands on Cam Hendricks, who's been making his life a living hell since the war, of course. But we had a feeling that Harley Ragan's going to show up. But thank God for Romeo Moreno, who decided to back up Tate Wilde to teach them a lesson. And that's exactly what happened. And then Tate Wilde applied a twisted moonsault. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So that pretty much ends right there. Tate Wilde gets a measure of his payback. Now, before the show ended, we did see, of course, the foreman, Timothy Thatcher, talking to Elijah Holyfield. Basically, they were discussing something. So Chewy Martinez decided to find out what is this about. However, Timothy Thatcher decided that this will be a matter that will be discussed next week in public. So we don't know what's the deal is, but it seems that this is something that Thatcher has been now cooking up recently. So we'll see how things go for next week. But as of right now, we'll end things here. So let's move on with AEW. Okay, AEW Dynamite and Collision. As you know, this is a 3-hour event as we head for Double or Nothing this coming Saturday. Now, we opened up with a bit of a video promo or segment, however you want to call it, between the Young Bucks and Jericho. As you know, these three individuals will be involved in the biggest stadium stampede ever in a 7 versus 7 type of match. However, of course, there was a big moment where, of course, let's just say the past has been recognized on two different fronts. One, of course, making history being part of the Stadium Stampede, but one, of course, is one where Nick Jackson hasn't forgotten, where, of course, Papa Buck got kicked in the face by Jericho. But however, of course, Jericho said, look, it's all in the past. Let's just move forward because right now this is today. But of course, they had no idea what to call themselves because Jericho said is either the Bucks of Jericho or Y2 Jackson. But Jericho came up with this very interesting solution. What is it the Bucks of Jericho or is it the Y2 Jackson? So basically, he's saying it's two names, one team. So practically a very genius move, and that's where exactly we head out. Of course, the Bucks of Jericho and Y2 Jackson, they team up. They face against Mark Davis and Andrade El Idolo, members of the Don Callis family. They team up with Ricochet. As you know, these three individuals also will be part of the upcoming Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. And of course, it was going to get chaotic. And of course, Jericho and Ricochet continue with their feud, not only in the ring, but also out the ring. But once again, of course, FN Dogs decided to show up, of course, to interfere in the match. And because of that, Andrade picked up the win by pinning Matt Jackson. And just like that, it was completely over. 1, 2, 3. However, Teo Leone decided to put more beat down until what's his name, Jungle Jack Perry showed up with a bag of onions. I don't know what he was going to do that, but it kind of did not work. However, We Hurt People showed up out of nowhere. The Hurt Syndicate took matters in their own hands. They wiped out almost everybody out. But we'll see the kind of carnage we will see this coming Saturday at Double or Nothing. Now, during a backstage interview, Darby Allin, as you know, he is self-aware what is at stake now. He knows that he's defending this title proudly, but also at the same time, putting himself in a position where he can tire his entire body out, facing Speedball. But of course, Darby Allin is determined to make it all the way to Double or Nothing in hopes to deal with MJF in order to make him bald. But we'll see when we get there. Now, our next match is an anything goes match. Mark Briscoe versus Tommaso Ciampa. These guys, as you know, were in fact people, they know each other for many years. And now this is where the moment where Mark Briscoe gets a measure of payback for what happened a couple of months ago when Tommaso Ciampa took him out. And just like that, it was carnage. I mean, a lot of weaponries, a lot of plunder. We did see barbed wires being in play and all that. But however, Mark Briscoe was able to survive it and put, of course, Ciampa in a froggy bowl. Just 1, 2, 3, adios, just like that. Now, Tony Schiavone was in the ring, was about to do something until Prince Nana showed up and told him to hit the bricks. However, of course, Nana, on the other hand, was introducing Swerve, but out of nowhere, Bandito showed up and attacked them. And of course, Ricochet was about to wipe him out, and so did Bandito, but it did not work out. So as you know, these two guys will see each other on day 1 of Ring of Honor, of Double or Nothing, part of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, for some unfortunate news, Willow Nightingale was talking about her accolades, being TBS champion, the first ever AEW women's tag team champion and all that. And she, of course, had the idea of defending the TBS belt you know, day in and day out. But however, she decided to relinquish and withdraw, relinquish the TBS Championship and withdraw. Now, more information about that has come around. We'll get to that in our news update related to that. So basically, the title is vacant, but she said she'll be back. And I think, in my opinion, we could see when Willow can come back in the position. She could be the first ever woman to hold all three titles, you know? And that could be the thing we can talk about in the future. But that's in another time. Now, our next match is the AEW Continental Championship Eliminator. Jon Moxley faces Kyle O'Reilly. Now, as you all know, Kyle O'Reilly not only tapped out Jon Moxley, not once, but twice. Now, this was a match, of course, for Jon Moxley. In his head, he cannot get over. This is something similar that he went through with Takeshita. But, of course, Kyle O'Reilly was determined to make him tap out, and that's exactly what he tried. But unfortunately, he had failed to do so because this match ended after a 20-minute time limit draw. So, however, because of this, he was able to secure a position to get a shot of the AEW Continental Championship. But of course, they say that Kyle O'Reilly survived this, but Kyle O'Reilly's like, nah, that's total horse crap. I didn't survive it. Jon Moxley barely survived me because he didn't tap out. So, but he told them the next time they meet, of course, it'll be a no time limit. Now, we did see an interview where Moxley explained that this whole thing with Kyle O'Reilly is still in his head. Now, this is one of those things where he felt like this has to disappear. I have to beat him. I need to make this disappear. And he's not wrong. This is something that he feels. Now, you got to ask yourself, should Jon Moxley be worried about this? The answer to that, hell yeah, he should be worried. He thinks he's unbeatable, and that's the problem. Nobody's unbeatable forever, and that's what he needs to get through his head. Now, Renee Paquette wanted to hear from Chris Statlander, of course, about her thoughts about Willow Nightingale withdrawing from the Owen Hart and all that. But it seems that Hikaru Shida is like, I don't need to hear all of this. This is nothing what we need to talk about because, as you know, Statlander and Shida are involved along with Jamie Hayter for the four-way and Tekla in the AEW Women's World Championship. But of course, it seems like Shida's like saying no one cares about Willow. But we'll see about that too. Now, we did see Rush, of course, making a video promo calling out Darby, telling him that if he survives this week, meaning if he survives Mike Bailey, survives MJF, he gets next in line for a shot of the AEW World title. And this is going to be also something that I think Darby needs to also pay attention to. This is not a guy who's going to take it easy on him. Now, our next match, we have an 8-woman tag team match. Athena teaming up with the Triangle of Madness. Tekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue taking on the combined forces of Thunder Rosa, Mina Shirakawa, and the Brawling Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. So basically, that is going to be it. Now, they did mention that Alex Windsor has an open spot, so there's going to be a wild card taking place. I wouldn't be surprised if that wild card could happen during, of course, the 0 hour of Double or Nothing. So we'll just have to wait and see. But however, the match was going chaotic. And of course, don't forget, Athena and Mina Shirakawa will be part of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. And Athena, as you know, hasn't forgotten that it was she who defeated Mina Shirakawa once before. But Athena is confident enough to believe she'll walk out and win this match. But Mina says, I'm going to defeat you one way or the other. But of course, in this match, everything is on the line. But however, the match overturned thanks to Julia Hart when she gave the Black Mist to Thunder Rosa, and Tekla picked up the win. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Just like that. Now, we did hear from Jetspeed talking about, of course, Mike Bailey in hopes of becoming the next AEW World Champion. And that's exactly, trying to get the hype going. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Renee Paquette did talk about Jon Moxley, never mind. Let's jump into the AEW World title, Mike Bailey versus Darby Allin. Now, however, before the match even started, MJF decided to show up and join the commentary booth, trying to say that Darby Allin is an idiot and and a moron who is a disgrace to become world champion, putting the title on the line every single week, and he thinks that it's a mistake, you know. But of course, they have to. MJF needs to recognize that Darby Allin is nothing compared like MJF. He is a different type of breed. But the MJF, like saying that he is still a fool. But man, Mike Bailey did push Darby Allin to the limits, you know, in every way. Try to pull off everything, dodging even everything that Darby Allin had. But however, this match ended with, of course, the Scorpion Deathlock by Darby Allin, and just like that, Mike Bailey just tapped out. And then we did hear from Kevin Knight telling him that, you know, that he admires Darby Allin for his resiliency, knowing too well that he is willing to defend this belt every single time. And unlike MJF, who he considers is nothing but a coward, but he told him that he and Bailey will be rooting for him regardless, because they want to see him make, of course, MJF bald, and that was the thing. And I'm sure MJF, who was listening, was like, no, it's not going to happen. But you may never know. And of course, MJF took matters in own hands and sneak attack and tried to cut Darby Allin's hair, but luckily Darby was able to overcome that. And of course, MJF took the breaks on this one. Now, our next match, we have Will Ospreay taking on, of course, Katsuyori Shibata and all that. So we basically, as you know, Will Ospreay is going to deal with Samoa Joe during the Owen Hart tournament, of course, in the start of it. And of course, we did see Anthony Bowens getting involved, but luckily the Death Riders showed up and stood by his side. But of course, the hidden played out pretty well for Ospreay taking out Shibata, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then of course we did see Samoa Joe had some things to say to him, saying that actions do have consequences. But of course, Will Ospreay said that, you know, that he thanked the Death Riders for not only helping him, but reminded him that he needed to go back to becoming the killer that he was used to be. So that's exactly. But he said the one thing that matters to him now is winning the Owen Hart tournament, and hopes to make it all the way to All In. And that's his goal. And I think many people are hoping for that too. So we'll see. Now, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland talk about their history together, you know, growing up, becoming wrestlers, talking about their daughters being born 6 months apart, that sort of thing. But of course, as you know, their careers, their time as tag team is on the line at Double or Nothing. So we'll see what happens from there. Now, Rush had a match against TJ Crawford. Well, you can tell this match, and it was a squash match. Rush applied the bull's horn, and just like that, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, we did see another AEW Women's World Tag Team Title 5-minute Eliminator match. Divine Dominion taking on Ellie Valentine and Kayla Lopez. Well, you can tell this match was over by Divine Dominion regardless. And I think it was more than less than 5 minutes this time. Now, let's jump into the AEW World Tag Team titles. The conglomeration consisting of Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy taking on FTR. I have to say this was a pretty good match, and I'm not going to lie. But of course, when it comes to FTR, we know that bald-headed moron Stokely Hathaway decided to get involved in this, and that's exactly what he did. It was a pretty good match. I mean, they would have, the conglomeration could have won this, but thanks to Stokely using the watch to knock out Orange Cassidy, FTR retained the belt. But we will see as we head to Double or Nothing how things are going to play out. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for AEW right now. Let's move on to wrap up with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. Now, we do have updates from GCW's upcoming events in the month of June, of course, and July. As you know, they'll be in Cincinnati, Ohio on the 19th of June for Race Against Time. It was announced that the GCW World title will be defended. The Silvertooth Satan, Atticus Cogar, will defend it against Aaron Williams. And then, of course, a month later, they just announced another show. They'll be making their first time ever appearance in Manchester, New Hampshire. This will be their first time being there, and this will happen on the 12th of July. Now, however, they haven't announced who will be participating or the name of the title of the event. So that probably will be coming up very soon. And finally, of course, for upcoming events, as you know, we got the House of Glory Raging War that will happen on the 22nd of May, which, of course, is my mother's birthday. It was announced that the House of Glory World Title will be defended. The Root of all evil, Charles Mason, will defend it against Sweet Cheeks. So that's pretty much it. What's going to happen in upcoming events. Now on to some developments. As you know, Willow Nightingale relinquished the TBS Championship, but also withdraw from the Owen Hart. It was revealed that she is dealing with a shoulder injury. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with her recent matches she's been having, but if it is, it would make absolute sense. But we do hope for a speedy recovery for her. Now, Utami Hayashishita kind of gave her reasons of why she departed from Mighty Gold. According to this, she said that she was impatient and there was a sting of jealousy. And she also said that she does not have that much time. Basically, as you know, she's worried that she cannot accomplish a whole lot. You know, as you all know, she left Stardom because of politics or whatever it was, and she went to Mighty Gold, and now she's feeling that same thing is happening over again. We will be following up more on her, as you know, about her departure. Now, Danhausen, many of you who know this, that he actually cursed Stephen A. Smith of ESPN. Then he cursed the Knicks, but however, he uncursed them, all thanks to a fan who paid him. But he, as you know, recently was in attendance at a New York Knicks game. So this is what he had to say about his time there. Let me pull that up. Of course, he was in Danhausen next to Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. Danhausen told you the curse is real. We did it. Danhausen has cursed the Cavaliers. The Knicks have one, and Danhausen has one, and now he owns courtside seats between Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. Yeah, that's right. And then the curse will continue. So, yeah. So basically, that's still going around. Now, MJ, I have some things to say about Malakai Black. Apparently, you know, he says that Malakai Black is the biggest offender of someone used AEW as a stepping stone to get to WWE, and this is what he had to say. The biggest offender, I think it's obvious, that's Malakai Black. I don't know the guy on a personal level. Do I think he's a bad guy? No. Do I think he was a mark or wanting to have mania moments? Yeah, there were a couple of guys like that, and they got weeded out. And they went over there, and some found out the grass isn't greener, obviously. But I like to say that majority of those guys were like, I'm just gonna use All Elite Wrestling to go back to WWE, and I think they're gonna see a lot of those guys ask for 50% pay cut from the office, or you're gonna see a lot of those guys that get released. It's unfortunate because if you show up to our company and work hard, there's really no need to burn bridges. I'm not shitting on him. I'm just simply telling you what I was told by a majority of the locker room about this specific individual. So as a team captain and as a leader, someone that has been part of the promotion since day one, I don't want to deal with guys that don't want to be team players. F off, go elsewhere, or F and prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. And this was on the Ariel Helwani show, of course. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, look, if you want to use AEW for a stepping stone, you're in the wrong place. But if you want to work hard and prove people wrong, this is where you need to be. If you can't do that, get the hell out. Now, Saori Anou, well, let's just say, as you all know, she had a very humiliating loss against Fuwa-Chan, and she had to say about this. I got a ton of messages saying that things like pathetic, disappointing, or losing to Fuwa disqualifies you from being a pro wrestler. If you only look at the result, I suppose that's true. But I can say with the total confidence that I faced Fuwa head on and truly accepted that in that ring, knowing exactly how much she's practiced and how much she's dedicated herself to this. I think Fuwa feels the same way. And she wouldn't have stood in that ring if she lacked confidence. So those comments didn't get me down. Though, in a way, one of my dreams did come true. I set the goal of beating Fuwa going viral. Ironically, I went viral by losing. It happened. When I wrote a comment regarding Fuwa's moonsault, I've always admired the moonsault. And I've always wanted to master it ever since my debut. But no matter how much I practiced, I couldn't do it because I was too scared. Seeing Fuwa pulled it off after only 4 months touched me deeply while I was taking the move. I couldn't help but think that how much she's must have practiced. And some reasons that's what went viral. Laughs. Yeah, so look, I get that people are upset with her because she lost, but you got to understand, someone like Saori Anou, who has been in the wrestling business for almost over a decade, can tell that someone put the effort. Now, remember, let's talk about certain person like Natalie Eves, I think that's her name. If you guys remember, people always, gave her so much crap saying you can't wrestle. And remember, she later on she tried to put a lot of effort into it, and she was, if you saw the Total Divas, she was getting a lot of crap from the Bella Twins, Paige, and Alicia Fox saying that went to practice with a trainer. Us, we did all this in a different way, you know. But of course, that was the whole thing. She tried to put the effort, but none of it. But what I did like about what Saori Anou mentioned is that she wanted to try the moonsault, but she was scared, and she saw Fuwa actually done it, and she was fearless from that, And I think she admires that. Like, I think she's like admitting herself, yeah, I was a coward not doing it, but I admired that she pulled it off, even if she was scared or not. But yeah, that's how it is. And I have to say, you can talk crap about Saori Anou the way she lost to Fuwa-Chan, but at least she's willing to say that Fuwa-Chan put in all the work, and that's all that matters. Now, finally, our last development, it's about Momo Kohgo. It was announced by Stardom that she'll be missing out, of course, in an upcoming match, and she responded to this on X, of course, saying, "Not reaching for the belt, a 2-year absent. It took some time to sort out my feelings. To everyone who supports me, I'm sorry for worrying. I have decided not to miss any events, but I reached my limit. I'll come back and power up the high speed, so please wait for me." So yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Momo since she debuted a couple years ago, win a championship match in Stardom since then. I mean, she could have gone, of course, with the future belt, and then, of course, the high speed belt. So, I mean, she should have already had a championship right about now, but no. And I think she's trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to bounce back from this? All we can do is just wait and see. So, we'll see. So, as of right now, we are officially done with everything, so let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, of course, we have TNA and Ring of Honor happening. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I can do the 3 remaining New Japan shows, part of the Best of the Super Juniors. I'm thinking about maybe waiting until the following episode after this, due to some circumstances outside this channel. But I am keeping track of what's going on in New Japan. Don't worry about that. I'll catch up with that soon enough, like I did with Choco Pro and Stardom. But we'll see how things roll from there. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. But as I mentioned, Ring of Honor and TNA are a top priority. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.